After several days of intense negotiations that stretched into the early Sunday morning in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, a representative of nearly 200 parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change pledged to establish a loss and damage fund to compensate vulnerable nations for climate change-induced disasters. Yahya Jammeh has more details of that in this report.
Creating a specific fund for loss and damage marked an important point of progress, with the issue added to the official agenda and adopted for the first time at COP27. Governments took the groundbreaking decision to establish new funding arrangements as well as dedicated fund to assist developing countries in responding to loss and damage. Governments also agreed to establish a transitional committee to make recommendations on how to operationalize both the new funding agreements and the fund at COP28 next year. The first meeting of the Transitional Committee is expected to take place before the end of March 2023. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Executive Secretary Simon Steele said a decade-long conversation has been addressed by creating funding for damage and loss of climate regarding the text adopted on Sunday morning.
We've determined a way forward on a decade-long conversation on funding for loss and damage, deliberating over how we address the impacts on communities whose lives and livelihoods have been ruined by the very worst impacts of climate change. So at COP27, we've established the fund that will provide one pillar of the response required to ensure loss and damage is addressed. Without the voices of individuals, whether they're activists, researchers, scientists, youth, or indigenous peoples, we would not have gotten this far.
Set against a difficult geopolitical backdrop, COP27 resulted in countries delivering a package of decisions that reaffirmed their commitment to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The package also strengthened action by countries to cut greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the inevitable impacts of climate change, as well as boosting the support of finance, technology, and capacity building needed by developing countries. The two-week summit, which was scheduled to end Friday, went into overtime Saturday as negotiators from nearly 200 nations clashed over critical issues. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.